We are going to talk about budget today. We all know what budget is. For example, if you are living in a house, for your own house, you make a budget where some income is there and some expense is there. And you understand that when income is greater than the expense, then you are able to make some savings, then you are able to save something, then the budget remains positive. There will be words like deficit. When we refer to such a thing in terms of a country, we all understand that deficit is bound to be there. Deficit means we are talking about some sort of deficiency is there, shortage is there, negative part is there, some negativity is there. That is what deficit is. See, we'll be talking a lot about deficits, multiple kinds of deficit. One is fiscal deficit. You may listen to revenue deficit or primary deficit. Such sort of things will be discussed today. But you need to understand, when I was actually giving you an example of the family, when you refer to a country, you understand that, in terms of such a huge country like ours, we all know that in the case of budget, we all know that income is obviously less than the expenditure. Expenditure is way more than, the income. So obviously deficits have to be there. So the percentage of the deficit, that will be taught today. You need to understand one more thing. There are beautiful stories which are around budget. I can actually make that story and make you narrate that, as in I'll narrate that. But the concern here is you have to understand the stories are not going to be beneficial from the perspective of your exam. You have to have that point-wise approach that is going to benefit you a lot. So from this video alone, you will see 2 to 3 questions in your exam for sure. Whichever exam you are writing, have faith in me. SSC, band, does not matter. PSC exam, any exam you will be writing. DSSB, Kendriya Vidyalaya, or maybe CDS exam. You will find questions from this particular video. Have faith in me. So I am Sonia from Vidya Guru, starting a session. If you understand what I'm teaching you, do press the like button, share the video with your friends, try to subscribe to our channel if you can, press the bell icon alongside. That is how you'll receive notifications of all the exam relevant videos which we upload. From here on, I'll be starting. But keep that approach in mind, that if somebody is telling you who is the finance minister, that you already know. If she is presenting the budget 6th time, please understand that there'll be people who'll be actually telling you the stories about Morarji Desai, a lot many things, first finance minister or anything like that. The current budget is important. The session is about current affairs, what is going on right now. The information related to the allocation of the money in the entire budget is something that you are going to see in your exam. So please start studying. You'll find the session very boring, and I'm telling you at the start, I'll try to make it interesting, but I'll not be able to because the numbers are going to be there. You have to learn those numbers anyhow. Let's start. You will see what kind of questions I'm referring to. So we are beginning with facts and figures. Let's look at the first question. Gross domestic product. Gross domestic product, GDP. See, this is the data provided by the government in the budget. You may have studied a little bit about the budget already, that it is the interim budget. And why we are calling it interim? See, till the time the government is not chosen again, they can actually present to you something provisional, something not complete, something temporary sort of. So that is what this interim budget is all about. They'll be providing you with more, schemes and everything, whatever they are willing to disclose, that they'll do. But for some time till they are there, they are actually telling you what they have achieved and what they are going to do in future, like till the time they are there. Let's see. For GDP for 23-24, we are referring to the fiscal, the current one, the financial year, the fiscal year, the current one, in which they are stating 7.3% is the GDP, right? Fiscal deficit. See, I'll be explaining what fiscal deficit is, but I hope you understand that deficit means that income is less than the expenditure. Expenditure of the government is way more than the income. So the deficit always remains. That is fiscal deficit. What kind of deficit? That will be defining later on. In the lower points, I am actually referring to fiscal deficit, which is 5.1%. That's the target for the next fiscal. But I hope you understand that in the current fiscal, 23-24, 5.8% that we are thinking of, but please understand that if any deficit is there, that deficit has to be brought down, it has to be reduced. So for the current, it is 5.8%. Next year, we are planning to actually reduce this deficit also, and it will be reaching 5.1%. Whichever kind of deficit you will be seeing, you will be actually looking at something that the deficit has been kept lower than the current value, than the current percentage. That is what they are doing. That 5.8% is right now. We are targeting at 5.1% for the further time, for the next fiscal. That is what they are doing. Now, in easier terms, people say that what is the total borrowing requirement of the government is, that is what they feel, that is what fiscal deficit is. Fiscal deficit, in Hindi, they call it Rajkoshiya Ghata. If some of you understand that, although Hindi session is also there, you can go and watch that session. Please do that if you are unable to understand that, because such sort of complete English medium sessions are for our students from South India, for our students from Northeast India, like students from Telangana, Karnataka, those who are in Kerala. I am actually referring to students in Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Manipur. Those who are unable to understand Hindi well, that is why we record such sort of complete English medium sessions for them. I was saying fiscal deficit shows what is the total borrowing requirement of the government. When you refer to it in a way of presenting to you, like some definition is there in front of you, some formula sort of is actually provided to you, look at it. Fiscal deficit, revenue receipts. Revenue receipts, what the government receives, it is revenue receipts. So we are earning, receipts, receiving is happening. In receiving, in revenue receipts, you are going to include something else. It is non-debt capital receipt also. Even the word suggests the same. Non-debt capital receipts, that means if government earns some money by not keeping something as the collateral, or the government is not supposed to pay that amount back, it is going to be non-debt capital receipt for the government. I hope you get that. Non-debt, easier terms, disinvestment is there. Some old asset of the government is there, and government is selling that asset and trying to make money out of it. So trying to make money with that, non-debt capital receipt. That means they are earning something without going to have any liability on them. It is non-debt capital receipt. So non-debt capital receipt included revenue receipts, out of which you have to deduct total expenditure. Once you do that, you will get fiscal deficit. That's the formula, that's the value you will be reaching at, you will be arriving at. So fiscal deficit is revenue receipts plus non-debt capital receipts minus total expenditure. That is what fiscal deficit is, and I told you 5.8% for the current fiscal, 5.1% for the next fiscal, GDP 7.3%. All the values have to be written. All the values have to be written. Please understand that. See, there'll be some things that you won't understand, but you are good at learning, trying to, cram things up. Do that, because that way at least the value will be there in your mind. I hope you understand the values which are written here. That is what I was pointing at when I started the conversation, that these values are important. I've seen people teaching, budget. I have actually, seen people. See, we try to deliver in point-wise manner, but what others do, how others do, they start narrating the story. But please understand that history is not that important. Even if you will see a rarest question out of it, I have not seen that, to be very frank with you. If you have seen that, you can mention that, but that does not happen. Current affairs is the section, they'll be asking you what the government is doing right now. The budget which was presented, I hope the budget name, union budget, is important for you. So you understand that if government has stated something about the economy or what is happening around you, that is important for you to know. If you're writing any exam, so story is important, okay, you can narrate that, but you cannot miss, you cannot skip important points. People were showing charts and they were not talking anything from that chart at all. Please don't do that. If I'm showing you some chart, I'll try to explain that chart only because the figures are important and they are surely going to be there in your exam. Try to spend some time on it. Facts and figures, revenue deficit. I was actually telling you what deficit is. It is the shortage or something. Revenue deficit, any kind of deficit is there. It has to be planned to be reduced the next year. That is what the target should be. For example, revenue deficit for the current fiscal has been kept to 2.8%. For the next year, 2% is the target. You can see that. So you need to learn both because that is what they are showing. When they present the budget, they mention all this, and such things, such details are important for you. Again, primary deficit is there. You can see that 2.3% is for the current fiscal, but for the next fiscal, we are planning at 1.5%. So primary deficit is there for this year, 2.3%. For the next fiscal, we are referring to 1.5%. As in, we are talking about, we are going to set it, we are going to achieve such a target where primary deficit will be reduced to 1.5%. Understand the percentage. Now see the explanation. Here we are defining what primary deficit is. See, even when some sort of formula term is there, you have to be aware of the same, that primary deficit is fiscal deficit out of which you have to deduct interest payments. Any kind of interest payments made, you have to subtract it, you have to minus it from fiscal deficit. And what fiscal deficit was, that I've taught you, that revenue receipts incoming, non-debt capital receipts incoming, out of which you have to deduct, you have to subtract total expenditure. So by doing that, fiscal deficit will be there. Now I was saying, out of fiscal deficit, you have to subtract interest payments. That's how you'll receive primary deficit. When you refer to revenue deficit, revenue receipts minus revenue expenditure. Revenue receipts minus revenue expenditure. So whatever receiving is there, out of which expenditure will be deducted. Here the words are the same, so you can learn them that way. So revenue receipts and revenue expenditure. Deficit is there when expenditure is more than the receipts. That is why it is called revenue deficit. Anyway, just once again, revenue deficit for the current fiscal 2.8%, for the next fiscal 2%. Primary deficit for the current fiscal 2.3%. For the next fiscal, we are targeting at 1.5%. Let's get going. You can see that scheme-wise allocation is there. So Manrega 86,000 crore is the allocation. It is that Mahatma Gandhi Rural Guarantee Scheme, Employment Guarantee Scheme, in which the employment of 100 days, minimum 100 days is committed, like they'll be getting 100 days work or they'll be paid the money. That is what government does to help poor people. Even some state governments are there. They have increased the number of days and the payment also. But for the allocation, Manrega 86,000 crore. PM Schools for Rising India. It is PM School for Rising India. This is called PM Shri. Why I have written, in this manner? In some, someday is there. You will find what is PM Shri in your exam. They may ask you what PM Shri is. The allocation is clearly written here. It is 6,050 crore. That you can, inform them. But there is a possibility they may ask you the expanded form or the full form of PM Shri. That is why I have written that above. Schools for Rising India. That is what PM Shri is all about. PM Awas Yojana, the allocation is 80,671 crores. 2,352 crores to Blue Revolution. Fisheries have to be managed well. They have to do well in some blue. That means it is associated with water. That is how you can associate it. 2,350 crores for Blue Revolution. PM Formalization of Micro Food Processing Enterprises Scheme 880 crore. PM Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana. The allocation to it is 2,05,250 crores. But in short, we can call it 2 lakh crore. At most of the places, you will find this as written. So I am going to repeat that. Manrega, 86,000 crores. PM Shri, 6,050 crores. What is Shri? Schools for Rising India. Awas Yojana, 80,671 crores. Blue Revolution, 2,352 crores. PM Formalization of Micro Food Processing Enterprises Scheme, 880 crores. PM Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana, 2 lakh crore, that's the allocation. Further, we are going to see the scheme-wise allocation in which we are talking about Ayushman Bharat. So, Ayushman Bharat, Prime Minister Jan Arogya Yojana. I hope you understand, by the name itself, it suggests that it is about public health. So, public health insurance, Jan Arogya Yojana. So, that is what PMJ is, in which we can see the allocation was made. It was of 7,500 crores. So, 7,500 crores allocation of PMJ. Production linked incentives. I hope you understand there are certain things in which the government tries to incentivize. Production linked incentives, like people who are into electric vehicles production, people who are working for solar, energy sort of, things. I am referring to, there are many things in which production linked incentives are provided. Scheme is, valid for multiple, areas. But here we are talking about the complete allocation of production linked incentive scheme. It is 6,200 crores. Modified program for development of semiconductor manufacturing ecosystem. There are certain things I told you at the start that you won't understand at all. Semiconductor manufacturing ecosystem. For that, 6,903 crore allocation was made. Solar power grid. You may have seen the grid. So, solar power, solar energy. The government is trying to work on green hydrogen and solar power. So, that is why for solar power, 8,500 crore. For National Green Hydrogen Mission, 600 crores. That's the allocation. Saksham Anganwadi and Poshan 2nd edition. Saksham Anganwadi and Poshan 2.0, the allocation is quite huge. It is 21,200 crores. I hope you understand that. Let's say when the allocation of such an amount is made, if you see the amount, if you find it huge, way more than other schemes, then you understand that the importance of that scheme is equally high. So, Anganwadi, 21,200 crores along with Poshan Nutrition, Poshan 2.0. That's the scheme. I'll make you revise all that. Ayushman Bharat, PMJ, 7,500 crores. 6,200 crores for production linked incentive scheme. Modified program for development of semiconductor display manufacturing ecosystem, 6,903 crores. 8,500 crores for solar power grid. National Green Hydrogen Mission, 600 crores. 21,200 crores for Saksham Anganwadi and Poshan 2.0 scheme. Let's move ahead. Here we are talking about the receipts from, you can see such sort of charts will be shown to you and nobody is going to talk about this chart. But you will see the questions from here and from the previous questions also. If you see the entire video, you will be actually sure for 2 marks or 3 marks. Believe me. You have to have faith in me. If you understand, you can press the like button. That is what I meant. You can subscribe to our channel also. If you wish to study from us, the teachers will actually teach you all the important questions which are relevant for your exam preparation. Numbers are given below. You can actually inquire for the relevant course for you. Apart from that, you can go to our website. It is online.vidyaguru.in. You can select a course of your, for yourself, like whichever medium you feel like. You can, buy the course. You can, take help from our teachers also. Even our counselors are there. They are going to, help you in all other manners also. If you require some advice, you can call upon these numbers too. Anyway, here you can see the receipt is there. The government receives money. You pay income tax, government receives money. Government is not going to pay that money back. Government, you pay GST, whatever you buy, so government receives that money. There are certain places where the money is spent also. For example, if government provides you subsidy, any kind of, if government gives you pensions, so government spends money on that. So there are income sources of the government. There are places where government spends money too. Now let's look at the chart. You can see we'll begin with 18% share of GST, corporation tax, 17% share. The government's income is this. The government's receipt is this, the whole. Here we are trying to tell you what portion is what. I told you GST 18%. Corporation tax contributes 17%. Income tax contributes 19%. Income tax contributes 19%. Union excise duty contributes only 5%. Customs 4%. Non-debt capital receipts I told you a while back. Like a few pages back, I was actually talking about non-debt capital receipt. 1% contribution comes from there. Non-debt capital receipts. Non-tax receipts contribute 7%. Why I'm writing? Because I know that the font is quite small. You will not be able to see that. So focus when I speak. Borrowing and other liabilities contribute huge. It is 28%. So that's the income of our government. GST 18%. IT 19%. Corporation tax 17%. Borrowing and other liabilities 28%. So such sort of things are there and you have to learn the percentage of the income, the receipts of the government. Now let's see where the government spends the money. Here on pensions, government spends only 4%. State's share of taxes and duties 20%. When you pay the money, when you go somewhere, you receive a bill in which you see GST is there and state GST is also there. So central government has to pay that state GST to the states also. That is what they are referring to. That 20% goes to that. State's share of taxes and duties 20%. Finance Commission and other transfers 8%. Central sector schemes, you have read them. A while back I've taught you that central sector schemes are there on which the government spends 16%. Defense, if you wish to guard your country, you require instruments, you require missiles, you require aircrafts, helicopters and a lot many things. Lot of ammunition, lot of arms are required. So defense, on which government spends 8%. Subsidies are provided, on which government spends 6%. Centrally sponsored schemes 8%. Interest payments 20%. That's huge. So that's the whole expenditure, major expenditure where the government spends. Although other expenditures, that is also there, which they are not mentioning it. 9% is the part which comes under miscellaneous, or you can say the collective, or somewhere they spend, they are not mentioning it. 9% is that also. So this is the collective approach. You can see that what percentage is there, like Finance Commission 8%, states share 20%, pensions 4%, defense 8%, central sector schemes 16%, interest payments 20%. So that is how you can learn these questions easily, by writing them again and again. If you are not making notes, if you are not writing them yourself, you will forget everything. I can assure you that. So watching the video won't be of any benefit at all. If you wish to see these questions in your exams, do write them, because believe me, these questions are going to be there. They may ask you the full forms of the schemes, or the allocation, or what is the present deficit and what we are targeting at. They can ask you that also. Budgetary allocation. What is the size of the total budget? Let's see. If you are not familiar with the size, how will you be able to learn anything at all? It is 47.66 lakh crore. That's the total size of the budget. Out of which you can see capital expenditure is 11.1 lakh crore. Effective capital expenditure is 15 lakh crore. Capital expenditure is different from effective capital expenditure. 11.1 lakh crore on capital expenditure, 15 lakh crore on effective capital expenditure. Railways, the allocation is 2.55 lakh crores. On defense, the government is planning to spend 6.2 lakh crore. Road transport and highways, the government will spend 2.78 lakh crores. On communications, 1.37 lakh crores. So I hope you understand the numbers are significant. Although the numbers are many, still write them down, because if you write them again and again, you will be able to retain them. I'll repeat. Size of the budget, 47.66 lakh crore. Capital expenditure, 11.1. Effective capital expenditure, 15 lakh crore. Railways got the allocation of 2.55 lakh crore. They may ask you which department, what is the size of the allocation? They may ask you the number straight away. So railways 2.55 lakh crore, defense 6.2 lakh crore, highways 2.78 lakh crore, communication 1.37 lakh crore. One more chart is there which I'll be reading for you, because I hope you will not be able to see what is there on your screen. So trend of major items of expenditure. You can see 22-23, this color, green, does not matter for us that much. 23-24 a little bit, but this is the main thing that you have to look at. The next fiscal 24-25, which is in yellow. So 5.44% transport. You can see trends of major items of expenditure in lakh crore. Whatever is shown in this chart, that expenditure is in lakh crore. For example, I am talking about transport here. So transport 5.44 lakh crore is the expenditure. They are planning major items of expenditure. This is the money they'll be spending on this particular area. Rural development, 2.66 lakh crore in yellow. Agriculture and allied activities, 1.47 lakh crore. Agriculture, 1.47 lakh crore. Education, they'll be spending huge. So education, 1.25 lakh crore. Health, 0.90 lakh crores. Energy, 0.76. Social welfare is on their minds, that is why 0.57 lakh crores. So that's in general, that is what they are saying, that they'll be spending money on. I'll repeat. Transport 5.44 lakh crore. Rural development 2.66 lakh crore. Agriculture 1.47 lakh crore. Education 1.25 lakh crore. Health 0.90 lakh crore. Energy 0.76 lakh crore. Social welfare 0.57 lakh crore. So that is what the government is going to spend. And how the government is going to spend, that is what they are giving you the clarification. When you move ahead, you can see that they'll be boasting of their initiatives, that they were doing quite well. They provided a lot many things to a lot many people. Let's start key initiatives, they are calling it. Although this can be read as Jan also, because it is Jan. So Jan Adivasi Nyay Maha Abhiyan. Jan as a whole, Jan Adivasi Nyay Maha Abhiyan Yojana. As the name suggests, Adivasi, it has to be for the backward classes, that means for the tribal groups. So that is what PVTG is. TG is tribal groups. They are saying that PM Jan Man Yojana to the development of particularly vulnerable tribal groups. They can ask you the full forms. It is popularly known as PVTG. What PVTG is? Particularly vulnerable tribal groups, because this scheme Janman is for Adivasi groups only. Outlay for 50 years, interest-free loan, capital expenditure to states 1.3 lakh crores, as it is about 50-year interest-free loan payment, under which they are referring to something else. It says that to support milestone-linked reforms. Reforms, that means we are making something better. Reform. So to support milestone-linked reforms by states, 75,000 crores. This is also the part of 50-year interest-free loan payment only. So 75,000 crores under this through rooftop solarization. Such questions can be there, you know that. Solarization, where government is spending a lot, where government wants you to, move to renewable energy. So they are trying that, if solar rooftops are installed at your, place on your roofs, that is how you will be receiving 300 units of free electricity also, free monthly electricity also, on which 1 crore families, they got the benefit of it. So 1 crore families benefited, 300 free monthly electricity units are provided. Those who have rooftop solarization, if you wish to get, if you wish to go ahead with such a thing, you can do that. Government provides subsidy in many ways on this particular thing. What is it? Rooftop solarization. So 1 crore families got the benefit. Corpus of 50-year interest-free loan for research and development. Again, sunrise sector, tech-savvy youth, you'll read such sort of words. Tech-savvy youth, the most important part is sunrise sector. 1 lakh crore, that is what they're talking about. Outstanding direct tax demands, 25,000 withdrawn till 2009 till 10. Outstanding direct tax demands up to 10,000. Withdrawn from financial year 10-11 to 14-15. This is something very important. So under PM Gati Shakti, as the name suggests, it is about some vehicles. It is about vehicles. They have recognized 3 major railway corridors here. 3 major economic railway corridors here. So in the budget under PM Shakti, they were referring to these 3 as energy, mineral, cement as one, port connectivity as the second one, high traffic density as the third one. So these are the 3 major economic railway corridors under PM Gati Shakti Yojana. Let's, move ahead. Important announcements are there, out of which they say that 30 crore women entrepreneurs. I don't know what kind of calculation is it. 80 crore people out of 140 crores receiving the usual, you can say, wheat or paddy what the government was distributing. So by that logic, they are saying 30 crore entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs are also there, business women are there. They are taking loans from them under Mudra Yojana. They are business women, and out of, not exactly out of 80, I was saying that 30 crore women are business women. That is what the government states. That under Mudra Yojana, see, one woman can't be benefited again. I hope you have, that sort of understanding. So 30 crore benefited, 30 crore women benefited under Mudra Yojana, because they all are women businessmen. I don't know what sort of number is that. But anyway, I wish to know the place you are watching our video from. So you can mention that in the comment box. I would love to know that. 30 crore women got benefited under Mudra Yojana, Women Entrepreneur Scheme. Under PM Fasal Bima Yojana, it is about crop insurance. 4 crore farmers benefited. PM Formalization of Micro Food Processing Enterprises Yojana, 2.4 lakh self-help groups got benefited. PM Kisan Sampada Yojana is there, under which 38 lakh farmers got benefited. So these are the happy recipients of the schemes. That is what the government states. So I'll repeat them once again. Mudra Yojana loan to women entrepreneurs. 30 crore women got benefited. Under PM Fasal Bima Yojana, crop insurance Bima Yojana, 4 crore farmers got the benefit. PM formalization of micro food processing enterprises, which I've taught you a while back. The allocation was taught by me. If you can recall, 2.4 lakh self-help groups got the benefit. 38 lakh farmers got the benefit under PM Kisan Sampada Yojana. So that is what the government states. Let's see. So FDI is foreign direct investment. Inflow which comes in our country from the outside. That means I'm referring to abroad, I'm referring to other nations where probably Indians are there, they are sending money in our country. So FDI, foreign direct investment, $596 billion. But you can see the number of years also. Please look at it. The government is trying to show what they have achieved, what they have done. So $596 billion is the FDI that we have received. Financial assistance under PM Kisan Samman, 11.8 crore. They are referring to people who are, receiving the benefits. So Kisan Samman to 11.8 crores. Credit assistance to PM Swanidhi. In this Swanidhi, I have taught you this scheme earlier as well, because round the year when I'm delivering current affairs, when I talk about government schemes, so these are the schemes, will be repeating them again and again. So it's better to learn them right away. SV stands for street vendors. Nidhi is money that we are talking about. Nidhi is Nidhi only. Nidhi is money. So I was saying that street vendors Nidhi, street vendors financial assistance, credit assistance, loan was given by the government to 78 lakh street vendors. Indians pulled out of multidimensional poverty in last 10 years, 25 crores. So they say, the government says that in 10 years we have, taken out 25 crores from poverty, from multidimensional poverty. We took 25 crores people out of, this poverty scenario. People are no longer under this line, under this below poverty line status. They have, they have actually been pulled out, from there. So 25 crores got benefited. Electronic National Agri Market. You must be thinking, what is it? 1361 mandis are there. eNAM is the name of a portal. Everything is being digital, you can see that. So if the government is trying to help farmers in digital way, so they have come up with eNAM portals where mandis are there, and 1361 mandis have been, brought to this eNAM portal where 1.8 crore farmers will be benefited, got benefited, that is what they say. So Electronic National Agri Market, it is eNAM, served 1.8 crore farmers where 1361 mandis, were there. That means they were actually there in the portal. They got integrated on the portal. So I'll repeat. FDI inflow $596 billion. Kisan Samman financial assistance to 11.8 crore farmers. Credit assistance to street vendors, 78 lakh street vendors under PM Swanidhi. Indian pulled out of multidimensional poverty in 10 years, 25 crores. Electronic National Agri Market served 1.8 crore farmers, integrated 13.61 mandis. So with that, we have come to an end of the session. If you've understood everything, you can press the like button. And thank you so much for watching.